What's up, guys? Welcome to Diggity, a video game episode, a video game podcast. Good lord, episode number 270. I'm Jeff James. With me tonight, Eric, beautiful Eric Toast, filling in for the luscious Brody Faults as Brody is on a trip currently to Great Wolf Lodge with his family. Might I add, not alone. That'd be weird.
Imagine them just sitting there watching all the children.
That's his relaxing place. Some people decide to go to the Dominican, other places. He decides to go to Great Wolf Lodge. So, it is what it is. But on today's show, we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about. We've got Stadia. News about that. Not so great news if you're a Stadia user. We've got news about Overwatch 2, obviously, as just over the horizon here. Overwatch 2 is going to launch. And we've got news from around the interwebs of just other little tidbits and pieces around the interwebs and the tubes about video games. So we're going to get jumping right into it. And actually, before Eric, before we get ahead of ourselves here and talk about what we've been playing, and also that we've been surviving against illnesses for the last week, both you and I. You more. Thank God for coming to this show. It just came perfect in the end. But I mean, you had COVID for the last week and a half, and it knocked you on your ass. So appreciate you for filling in.
Yeah, I've been not feeling so great. I have a technical question here for you. Zencaster is not showing waveform for me.
You're fine. You're fine. Welcome to the gauntlet. You're fine. Leave it alone. It's stupid. It just doesn't. I can see it on my end. It's really dumb sometimes, but that's just how it works. Guys, before we jump into kind of what we've been playing in the news, I just want to reiterate to people, especially listening on the audio version of the podcast, we have a video version of the podcast on Spawn Camp Co. now. Spawn Camp Co. is kind of a community of a bunch of different creators coming together in one place, everything from pop culture to video games to Gundam. So if you want to see some cool stuff over there, go to youtube.com/SpawnCampCo. You'll find the video version of our podcast there, and we go live every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. And on YouTube. And then the audio version of the podcast, like always for the last couple of years, has been going out Friday at around 5:30 a.m. Eastern. So you've got it for Friday when you get into your morning commute, and you can enjoy Friday with a little bit of diggity. So thank you to all those who've listened audio version. Try jumping over to the video version. The water's nice.
But you get to see our beautiful faces.
Our beautiful faces, yes, I assure you. Yes. They are at least slightly beautiful. And then also, on top of that with Spawn Camp Co., you can also check out the free Discord. Link is in the description below on our YouTube channel. And you can also check out the link in the show notes for the audio version of the podcast. It's free. You don't need to pay anything to be part of the Discord channel. You don't need to be a Patreon at all. So those audio listeners, which most of the people for our podcast listen from an audio perspective, jump on into that Discord, and it's a great place. We've got everything, not just people who listen to Diggity, but people who listen to the other Spawn Camp Co. stuff. And it's a great place to talk about video games, talk about, God, there's a sub for everything, dude. There's a freaking what I ate.
every week there's a new sub.
Every week there's a new thing, and it's pretty cool. People populate it, and it's a great place.
To hang out with Jeff, myself, Brody, and all the other Spawn Camp people.
Yeah, and we occasionally play games all together. It's kind of cool. And with that, Eric, I'll lead into what have you been playing, my friend, recently, quickly.
Well, we were just chatting about this before the show, but the new version, or the new update for Terraria just came out, and I'm a big sucker for survival games. And so I've been playing the new update for Terraria, trying to get to the 100% of that game. I've also been playing Temtem, been playing Overwatch with you, and yeah, just rocking it, taking it easy.
Yeah, bro, I've been packed and slammed with work, but I've ripped a little bit of Overwatch, trying to get ready for that Overwatch 2 launch, and then just messing around on my tablet. I mean, I played a little bit of the Call of Duty beta. We talked about this last week, me and Brody on the show, and wasn't a fan of it. Just not a, I don't know. It's super fast paced. I'm not with it. And I know a lot of people have canceled their pre-orders for it, but There's also
Really?
like
Well,
15 million pre-orders at the same time too,
yeah,
so it's gonna sell like bonkers, like hotcakes. So,
they're always going to make money on
yeah,
Call of
dude,
Duty.
COD Bro is gonna play COD. That's how it's gonna go. Uh, but other than that, I've just been chilling, not much. But let's kind of jump into kind of the meat of the week here. I'm gonna call it meat of the week from now on.
The meat of the week,
Meat of the week, baby.
but not a mystery meat.
Yeah. So Stadia, hey, it's dying. Who would have fucking thunk that, huh?
Oh yeah,
My God.
I think
I feel like Stephen A right now.
Ever since it came out, you've been saying it's gonna die, and like I said, like I said earlier, I made a comment in the Discord earlier today. Is that if you keep saying it's gonna die, eventually it will die. So it's just like World of Warcraft, just like
I think I'm actually off my prediction because I said it will die in 2022. And I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that episode. But Stadia will be no more about mid-January 2023. So Google Google came out today and basically announced that it will be shutting down Stadia and the entire service January 18th, 2023. They wrote a blog about this piece, which is kind of interesting. I'll read it here. It's not like a, hey, we failed. It's kind of like a, hey, there's a lot of other reasons why we may have failed and it wasn't our fault, which is odd. But it says, for many years, Google has invested across multiple aspects of the gaming industry. We help developers build and distribute gaming apps on Google Play and Google Play Games. Gaming creators are reaching audiences around the world on YouTube through videos, live streaming, and shorts. So naming the things that have worked for them. And our cloud streaming technology delivers immersive gameplay at massive scale. A few years ago, we also launched a consumer gaming service, Stadia. You may have never heard of it. I'm just kidding. It's not in there. And while Stadia's approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technology foundation, it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expected, so we've made the difficult decision to begin winding down our Stadia streaming service. We're grateful to the dedicated Stadia players that have been with us from the start. We will be refunding all Stadia hardware purchases made through the Google Store and all game and add-on content purchases made through the Stadia Store.
That's
They're going to
incredible.
refund everybody.
Yeah, good on them.
Which just shows you how little amount of players there were, but it's fun. Players will continue to have access to their games library and play through January 18th, 2023, so they can complete final play sessions. We expect to have the majority of refunds completed by mid-January 2023. We have more details for players on this process in their help center, so you can go to that blog and you can find the link for that if you were an owner of Stadia. The underlying technology platform that powers Stadia has been proven at scale and transcends gaming. We see clear opportunities to apply this technology across other parts of Google like YouTube, Google Play, and our augmented reality efforts, as well as make it available to our industry partners, which aligns with where we see the future of gaming headed. We remain deeply committed to gaming and will continue to invest in new tools, technologies, and platforms that power the success of developers, industry partners, cloud customers, and creators. For the Stadia team, building and supporting Stadia from the ground up has been fueled by the same passion for games that our players have. Many of the Stadia team members will be carrying this work forward in other parts of the company. We're so grateful for the groundbreaking work of the team, and we look forward to continuing to have an impact across gaming and other industries using the foundational Stadia streaming technology. So, a couple things from this. Stadia is dead, but the process or the assumption of Google completely being done with, let's say, gaming in general is far from done. Google is 100% going to continue definitely looking into gaming technology. I mean, I think it's a sector of their business that they have not really been able to tap into as much. They'll say the mobile gaming. I get that. That's cool. Yes, it makes an assload of money. It doesn't make as much money as Apple. Okay, and they have more devices, Android devices, than there are iPhone devices. So they're not doing amazing on that. And then the desktop piece, the actual core gaming stuff, and not mobile games, because I don't care who you are, I don't count mobile gaming as true. I think it's a subsector of gaming. But I think what we're going to see here is we're going to see them go back to the YouTube gaming that they originally destroyed before launching Stadia, which was kind of crazy. And they're going to go into basically click on a game that someone's playing and then you can go and play that game.
Yeah,
so like
more so promoting it type deal.
Not just promoting it, but like promoting it in real time with the ability to purchase it and still play it. So like, I forget, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Brody and I were on one of the episodes. We were talking about how they were doing some game streaming through Google Search, and basically you could search a game, and there was the ability to play it through Stadia, and it was branded as Stadia in terms of playing it, but you could also play it through NVIDIA GeForce and other stuff. I think they're going to make it where it just says play this game, and then you can just play the game. And I think on YouTube, what will happen is if the streamer's playing the game, you can go in, you can buy the game and just play it. So I think their concept of having their own controller with their own hardware piece that then talks to their own system, that's their own like branded thing. I think they're going to give up on that, but the technology is there, and it's not that hard to implement into the rest of like the Google ecosystem in a way where like it just happens to be there, and you could play a game with your PlayStation controller, and then it just kicks back or something, to Google, like they get a royalty for the purchase of the game. But I don't think they're going to die off with that technology.
Yeah, so you're kind of saying like instead of there being Stadia, the console, they're just going to take all that work they've put into it and just integrate it on the browser, Google browser, to or YouTube browser, so that you can just use that technology within their ecosystem, whether that's YouTube gaming, let's say they bring it back, or whatever.
Yeah, I think so, because I think the problem with Google is they suck at building new brands. I mean, Google hasn't really built any brands; they've only bought them.
They haven't had anything really new since YouTube. They bought YouTube.
I'm
struggling to think of something that
they bought
really
YouTube. They bought Android. I mean, they buy a brand, and then arguably, yes, has YouTube grown because of Google? Yes, but I mean, it grew because they had an AdSense platform. With Google purchased AdSense. They haven't really shit, dude. Like, look at when Facebook and all that was blowing up, they had Google Plus, which was trying to be their social media network, and that sucked. Yep. That tanked. Their phones, they're trying to launch the Pixel phones and stuff like that and try to gain market with it. I haven't seen a fucking person I know have a Pixel. Not to say that the Pixels are bad. They don't. There's something about how they do either marketing or launching shit. I think it's mainly marketing, where they don't get the word out properly, and I think they just think, well, we'll put Google, behind it, and people go, oh hell yeah, but Google doesn't have like a brand loyalty like an Apple does, or because they didn't come from a hardware perspective. Google started out as just a search engine, a search perspective, a website, and a lot of people just look at Google as a website. They don't look at it as pieces of hardware, and so I think just over the years, they launch stuff and then they don't support it, or it's slow to get support. Even the office that I work in, we have TVs in all the offices, like not the conference rooms, but actual offices, and they run off of their older LG TVs that run off of like Google TV system, their WebOS TV system.
Okay,
and it's fucking brutal. There's no updates for it. It's outdated.
Yeah, it's awful.
The apps suck to use.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't see it. So I think that, they put obviously a great deal of development work into this stuff, and I think that they'll carry this on. And if they're smart, they'll carry it on to it won't be a branded thing. It'll just be a thing that is offered within the Google ecosystem. So I could go to, I never understood why they shut down YouTube gaming, and I never really understood why they didn't just incorporate this into Google Play. Like, if you have all these Android devices, why not just be like, yeah, now you can play this game on your phone. And then if you want to make it big on your TV, Chromecast it.
That would be huge, right? Like, you could...
I never understood why go with a separate brand.
You could play Ragnarok right off of YouTube onto your phone.
Yeah.
Or something like that. That would be incredible. But,
they didn't do that, and they don't support the brand very well. They don't do like a lot of marketing for it. They don't, they had problems with developers like putting their shit on their system. Like you need to have a lot of money nowadays in the video game market, not as a developer, as a platform owner, to throw behind there. And it's not like they didn't have money. I just think that they didn't, like, they should have went and bought a company. Like they should have went and bought like a Ubisoft or something, and like that shit was like on Stadia first or something. Something.
Yeah, that would have
Like
been
there was
probably the
none of
move,
that.
right? That could have maybe pushed them. It could have still gone to shit too, right? Could have
Yeah.
just brought Ubisoft down with it, which would have sucked. Ubisoft is a great company for the most part, but
Yeah. Well, no, and
they,
it just sucks too because like they also launched at a poor time where you had Xbox Game Pass, and Game Pass was, is what Stadia is now. Like I mean, they have XCast, right? Or XCloud, sorry. And it's like it's fair. It's a good um competitor to this. It's not 100% there like Stadia, was. But the problem with Stadia was they didn't have games. And then on the Xbox piece, it was they had games, but not every game was xCloud, right? But I don't think a lot of
yeah,
people were. I don't know. I think the thought that, oh well, now you can just take your game anywhere with you and people are gonna love that. I don't think people care that much for that because a product like the Steam Deck wouldn't do well.
not under Google's umbrella. That's
Right. Well,
that's
like
for
no,
sure.
but it wouldn't
Yeah,
do well if the fact that it's a standalone device. Like, I mean, if you could just start
no,
playing Steam games through let's Steam Cloud on your phone and stuff like that, and it actually took off, people wouldn't go out and buy the Steam Deck.
no,
Like, people
no.
actually want dedicated devices, in my mind.
Every day, like I wish I could play my my Steam games on my phone, just using like the Steam app or whatever. But no, no,
So you're one of
can't.
those guys that really wants to do that, but I think the majority of people don't care. I think the majority of people are like, I would rather go out and buy like an Xbox handheld device and play those games on that specific handheld device.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even if they were still just through the cloud, they still would want to do that.
Yeah, yeah, no, there's definitely those people. I'm probably an outlier in that case, but that's just like a personal thing where my computer's downstairs and my wife is upstairs. Why can't I just like go and spend time beside her on the couch and watch movies stuff with her, but also play my games?
Yeah, no, and
Multitask.
I think that they were going up against Xbox for that. They're going up Microsoft for that, and Microsoft had already been in the gaming industry for, decades at that point, and they'd figured that the core pieces of the business out, and they were building what Stadia is, and it's like Stadia took like two steps too much forward, I think, and just Microsoft basically is in a position where they're like, yeah, we know we can get to that point. Like Microsoft can do what Stadia has done.
Yeah,
They're just doing it very
easily.
slowly, and it's smart. You have to
Yeah,
train your audience how to use some of these things, and you have to make these things function better. And
yeah,
then the other piece from it too is really like Sony also was, had PlayStation Now, but they were in the midst of, even during this launch, there was rumors of it, becoming, it's a refreshed version of Game Pass. So this is poor timing on Google's part, and I don't think it was. I don't think it's very smart how it was all done. I think it was poorly managed, poorly launched. They went with the same shit that all these big companies do. They go and hire up these executives from other gaming companies. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but these other gaming companies, they work for a platform. Like they make their content for a platform. They are not the platform.
yeah.
It's a
It's
totally different way of thinking.
I forget this if this conversation was if this was in the Discord maybe you guys were talking about, or maybe it was on an episode, I can't remember. But you were talking about how having the selling point of a dev or a CEO coming to the studio, this new studio, or to this game or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean the game is going to be good.
Right.
Because the my thoughts to it was just because this person has worked on a great game before doesn't mean that they're going to jive with the team that they're working with now.
Or make another good
It's all a
game.
team. Yeah, it's all a team effort, and yeah, it definitely might just be like a one hit wonder. This person ran the best game of all time,
Right.
but that was it.
I think they would have had more success having a physical box within the home than they did with, oh, you can play on your laptop and then you can Chromecast it using a Chromecast. I'm going to be dead honest with you. People even our age have a hard time with Chromecast.
I returned mine. I bought one and returned
It's
mine because
not
I was like,
explained
I
well.
don't like it.
Yeah, it's
I
not
don't like this.
explained well, and it just kind of like you're like, okay, so there's no menu system. I just use my phone for everything, and I just cast it up to my TV Magic. It's kind of a pain in the ass. I would love a dedicated menu system.
Yeah,
And maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe I am the side, like the one person that wants that, but like they made it where it's like, yeah, you can just plug in your phone. Nobody wants to, like, right now on the video that's being shown right now on our stream, on our side by side here, is they plugged in their phone to a computer screen. Who the fuck's gonna do that? Nobody's
yeah,
fucking doing that. And then they go, oh, now you can play on your tablet. Okay, there's something cool. I get that. Makes sense. Sure, not a problem there. And they're like, and then you can cast to your TV. I don't want to fucking cast it to. I just let me have a fucking box that I turn on or incorporate it right into the TV. And they started doing that at the very end, and I thought that was the way to go about it. But I don't know. I feel like unless you have a physical box or even just a physical stick that has a dedicated menu system beyond an app, then you have to go through two hoops to turn the fucking thing on a TV. I don't think you're gonna make it.
yeah. The big thing for me was it didn't have a remote. Like I
It had a
wanted to be able to.
controller.
Some of them do.
Yes.
I got one that didn't. It was the pure
Oh,
Chromecast
sorry, we're talking
where
Chromecast. Okay. Yeah.
Chromecast. But like so I switched to a Fire TV where like it comes with a remote,
Uh huh.
has a menu, you can like do everything on the Fire TV. Um, and that's what I preferred. So it's kind of brings it back to like having this physical box with a physical controller
Yep.
and being able to interact with it directly rather than casting things here and there.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm a techie guy. That's not too difficult to do,
It's
but
just annoying.
the ease of use is not there for it.
Yeah, and Brody and I have talked before on this show where Xbox Clear Path is, they're going heavy on the cloud gaming, and they're doing digital only Xbox, right? That is available today, and that's great. What they're eventually going to do, dude, is they're just going to have a USB stick, like almost like just a little USB-C stick or whatever that plugs in the back of your
Yep.
TV. But at the end of the day, I think Microsoft will still make it have its UI, and that is the difference. Is that this shit, like, I understand it has its own UI and people are like, oh, you've never played it. I understand it's got a UI to it. The problem is they sat there and their whole pitch was, and I understand that there's also benefit to it. It's like, play games on things you already have. Play games with controllers you already have. Play all this. People like feeling like they're getting a new experience by having a PS5 sit on their desk here and be able to play it with its own menu, and you turn it the fuck on. It's set up to a system. You change the input on your TV. You're in there. On the whole Chromecast thing, it was like I don't know. I don't think it's I don't think it was very smart on how it was launched. It was just a lot of stuff thrown at people right off the bat, and it was like, I don't know. They could have eased into it. Like, I would have started off with here's a physical box that you can play, and it connects to our
Yeah.
network.
Yeah.
and you can do that. And then after, you build that up with the games because you're a game platform. And then after that, you build that up to the point where you go, okay, and 2 years in, you go, now you can play it, anywhere you want on any device with any controller. Like, bring that out, but you can't. I don't know. Out the gate, I think it was just too much stuff at one shop, and everyone was just like, okay,
Yeah,
and it ultimately
interesting the way
failed.
that approach, it could also have given them time to work out kinks of the virtual system, the cloud system that ultimately where they jumped off of Stadia, uh, that they maybe could have built and made better throughout that grace period that a physical box could have given them to do that, right? Like just build
Yeah.
up the technology.
Well, for sure too, and I think that one of the questions was, and I don't think this necessarily deterred people. Like the amount of people that got deterred by this was what killed it. But like, this was truly the first all digital platform where your games are just there, and there's no physical way to purchase any of these games. Okay, and I understand that like on PlayStation and on Xbox, a lot of people now, like, I'm buying a lot of digital games. Okay, I buy some physical games, but I'm still buying a lot of digital games. But the thing is that I know that PlayStation is established. I know it's not going anywhere,
Yeah.
right? And so for me, I never wanted to jump into this because I was like, I'm not going to go buy games on this because this shit might crash, it might die, and then what's going to happen to my games? I didn't know I'd maybe get a refund. They're going to refund everybody all of their shit. That's kind of crazy.
Seems a little ridiculous, yeah.
But on top of
Unheard
that,
of.
like, I didn't think it was going to, I didn't think it was going to survive, and it hasn't. And I didn't want my games to be in that world, and not have access to things that I own, but I
Yeah,
never
what if
actually
you
truly owned them.
yeah, you didn't get a chance to finish that one game that you were saving, and now you can't finish it on that platform.
Not even
You'll have to
finish
buy
it.
it
I can't
buy
even. Yeah, I
it
can't even take it to another platform. I can't download it. I can't do anything with
yeah,
it.
you'll have to buy it somewhere else, and then you're
Yeah.
like, well, fuck, I should have just bought this on PlayStation
So like that's
in the
that's
first
my
place.
that's my thought on that because it's like
Yeah.
I understand the streaming aspect. Like, don't get me wrong. I think that that's smart. But the difference in that is that people who want to play Game Pass are already probably, I would suspect, are people that also game a lot. And the reason I say that is because these streaming services, Netflix streaming is very different. You go in, you watch a movie for 2 hours, and you're done.
Yeah.
You go into this, you're playing a game. You come back to it, you play the game. You come back to it, you play the game for a couple hours. You're playing the game. Like, they had Assassin's Creed Odyssey on here.
Yeah, that's not going to take 2 hours.
No, that's not going to take 2 hours. And I think when you have that kind of shit, it makes it where, and not to say that obviously there's long games that exist on Game Pass, but at the end of the day, that is a established gaming platform with physical copies of games and gamers from all over the place who are core gamers.
Yeah, it
And the
has
things
it
that
has
were
the
in
ecosystem
this
behind
were
it.
portrayed for kind of core gamers, and then they like wished washed back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between the games and titles that they had available in their store. And it just became this mishmash of like some really cheesy party games and then like some long ass games. And it's like, what do you do with this? Like, I don't want to sink my time into this one platform that I don't trust. I think, again, going back, like we both said, having a physical box and having physical games as well as digital games and a true setup store and UI that's properly fleshed out. And also, not a social connection, but an easier way to connect with players. Something like PlayStation and Xbox does. Like, I still to this day have no clue and no idea why they shut down YouTube gaming.
Yeah, I actually
But right, I think either right before launch or just after launch, right? With this, like, I still don't understand that.
I can't even think of how they did the social platform on Stadia. I don't maybe not the best person to talk about the ecosystem itself just because I'm not very familiar with it, but the yeah, I haven't heard any whispers of how gamers connected to each other on that platform.
It wasn't very good. We'll put it that way. But like what was originally pitched was that YouTube gaming was going to be kind of the social network within that system and allow people to chat, talk, stream, right? That they're on Stadia and stuff like that, and create basically create user-generated content that went to YouTube that would continue to pitch Stadia. And they ultimately ended up just shutting it down. Right, like either right before launch or just right after, and it made zero sense to me because to me that was your one marketing engine that you could utilize. I mean, you own YouTube, and all that happened at launch instead was a bunch of Stadia banners on YouTube.
Yeah, it would have made 100% sense with being able to directly throughput all that content right onto YouTube, ease of access to make content for that that platform. Definitely, that's would have made sense for that to go directly onto that onto YouTube.
It's crazy.
But, yeah, crazy thing. You called it. Google, just to spite you, put it on in 2023. Specifically you, and yeah.
I want to be clear about something too. I don't want things to die.
Yeah.
Like there are thousands of people probably poured their hearts into building this platform and getting it going up and running. And then a ton of people tried to sell it, make it happen, all this stuff. There's tons of effort put into these things. Tons.
Certainly.
Tons of effort. What I have a problem with is when a company continues to do the same thing and repeat the same shit with numerous products, no matter the industry. And Google continues to do that. Google cannot properly launch a product. They should just look to acquire.
Yeah, they just make something, and if it hits...
Stop, Google. Stop.
If it works...
You asshole. My Hey Google just worked.
They're listening. If... Gosh, I forget what I was saying. But, shit.
Oh, the acquisition versus...
The acquisition, yeah. So, they make something, it does incredibly well, they leave it. They make something, it does shit, and they just kill it. There's no in between. They don't, like you said, they don't really know how to make a product.
No, they don't, and they don't know how to sustain it, or they change it too much. Sometimes to the point where like this is ruined. Why would you do this?
Yeah, and everyone hates it. Well, everyone hates YouTube, but everyone still uses it. So
that's right. The necessity at this point, right?
Essentially, yeah.
All right, my man. Let's get on to talking the good old Overwatch. Overwatch 2, my man. So October 4th is coming up quickly. You and I are big connoisseurs of Overwatch.
Sure.
And at the beginning of this whole dealio with Overwatch, I was expecting, I guess I'll back it up. When we first started learning about Overwatch 2 and what was going to be Overwatch 2 and the rumors that were flying around to it, I think, I won't speak for you, but for me, I kind of sat there and was like, oh, this just sounds like a giant update. And, I think some of it now still has an essence of that, but not nearly as much now that they've seen the different gameplay, the new heroes coming in, how the maps are redone, rejigged up. They just look a lot nicer. The new game modes. I think this is a great... this is a problem, right? Is I think everybody says, oh, this doesn't update. And here's the reason why. I think this has never really happened in gaming before. It's a really unique situation where this game, not the free-to-play piece, because we've had that happen with other things, but this game of this magnitude has decided to go free-to-play. And then at the same time, it's decided to also remaster itself, change up a bunch of stuff, add new map packs, fundamentally change how it works from a competitive mode, which we'll talk about in a bit. Yeah. And then, amongst a ton of other things. And it's just kind of like in this weird gray area of like, is it an update? Is it a new version? Is it DLC? I more look to it as like a remaster and DLC.
Yeah, I like that viewpoint of it. I would say that I'm probably more in the camp of calling it an update for the sake of it being like essentially they are just updating characters, maps, and the way things work in the game. Now, the word rework, I think, fits that way better. They are rebuilding pretty much all of their in-game systems from the ground up. Uh, uh, the competitive scene, how they do competitive matchmaking, all that stuff, from what I've been researching on, it is completely new from what Overwatch was. Overwatch 2 is doing it completely differently. So uh, that's all sounds great. It's as a rework. I see where people are standing as this is just an update. This should just be Overwatch 1.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, the but they're going the route of Overwatch 2 because they are reworking this game to a point where it is they want the fresh new feel to it because they have redone I think all of the character models. I don't think they
Mm-hmm.
left anybody out. And it has this complete um yeah, they want it to be a new experience for new people. The free to play model is obviously very successful in a lot of shooters out there, so I can see why they're doing that. Not a lot of people are happy with it, but I don't know. The way I look at it is, if you're gonna spend $50 on this game to buy it new, then you get it for free. Maybe you'll spend that money on cosmetics or something like that.
Yeah, like will you actually spend that much money in the game
Yeah.
now
Yeah, like,
versus
would
what
you
you would
spend
have
50
bought it,
bucks?
yeah, as like a physical version. Yeah, I mean, again, my confidence at the beginning of this when they were first showing stuff was not high. And it's not it wasn't. I would honestly, it was because of the dev team, like just the shit that was coming out of Blizzard. I was like, oh boy, like it got delayed, people left,
Yeah,
things happened. I
there's a
just
lot
sat there
of
and was like,
shit
holy
happening.
shit, yeah. I was like, oh my god, like what? I don't understand. What the fuck was
Yeah,
going on there? It's
the
horrendous.
team, the team, I lost confidence in the team because they weren't updating the game at all for years.
Yeah,
And
they weren't. Yeah, they weren't. There's no map updates. There was very small cosmetic updates. I mean, what was the last hero we got? Was what?
um,
Sigma, Hamster, Moira.
hmm,
Let me see.
it was either Sigma or the hamster. Brig is in there.
Echo. Echo was the last one
Oh yeah, okay.
before it. Overwatch 2, and that was
But
March 18th of 2020. Holy cow!
that's actually not as old as I thought,
Two
but
years ago.
that's still over 2 years ago. So
Yeah, and the
that
rest have
that just
been
goes to
very
show.
small cosmetic skins where it's like there's been a couple of big
Yeah.
ones where you're like, oh, that's really cool. Like they spent a lot of time on that. And then other ones are
Hmm.
like, okay, they just recolored that.
Yeah. Yeah. There Overwatch does skins really good for the most part. I've been watching a few different videos on what the skins might look like going forward. Um, Another big part of Overwatch 2 was there is eventually going to be a cooperative, dedicated story mode, or at least cooperative mode
Yes.
that you will be working on missions or whatever. Hopefully,
Which
there's an actual story.
which we have not gotten a lot of info on that. I
We haven't gotten
will.
any info on it. My guess is that it will probably be a paid version of Overwatch 2. Um,
Mhm.
that's my best guess.
Yeah, like
But
it's like a linear like story or something like that, and you pay for episodes.
yeah, it's essentially like you have Warzone and then you have the Call of Duty game that has the campaign
Yeah,
attached to it. Uh, so I mean, maybe not a direct comparison, but that's essentially what I've been thinking of what they will do here. It would make sense that they spent all this time on an actual story to have you'll have to pay for that. It might be an expansion of Overwatch 2. Um,
I think they
might
might take
cost.
the route of like Riot Games
Hmm,
with League. In that League is free to play, and they built up that audience, and then now League is doing everything from TV stuff to music to mobile applications to they're making an MMORPG right now.
yep, yep.
So
I'm pretty stoked for that one, but we'll see.
yeah, I mean, they're branched out that lore, that ecosystem of League, um, and so I think that'll be interesting to kind of see what they do with it. But I think that's kind of their goal. I'm gonna just whip through a couple of global changes
Sure.
that are some of the bigger global changes, and then we'll talk about competitive real quick before we wrap up. Per different ones. Old damage heroes now gain a 25% movement and reload speed buff for 2.5 seconds whenever they eliminate an enemy player. This does not stack, but will refresh if additional eliminators are scored while active. That's huge. That's
Yep.
like League,
The
right?
passive.
Yeah. All tanks now have 30% knockback resistance and provide 50% less ultimate charge when damaged. All supports now heal 15 HP a second after not being damaged for 1.5 seconds. That's up. All forms of extra health from abilities, example, Bridget's Inspire or Lucio's Sound Barrier, are considered over health, which is a green health bar instead of a secondary type of armor or shield health. And over health reduces ultimate charge gained by opponents by 50% when it's damaged. Armor health now reduces all damage by 30% instead of flatly reducing it by 5 points. And the last attack that fully depletes a hero's armor will have its damage reduced by that armor dynamically, with higher damage attacks being reduced less. So there's a slew of different things, and not every character in terms of mechanics, but a lot of characters have complete reworks. Like,
Yes, Orisa has no more shield, or at least the traditional shield that would should toss it on the ground, and that would be the shield. She just has a lance now that she
yes.
spins to block damage. I think. I haven't played the characters. I unfortunately didn't get into the beta, so I actually don't know how most of the character reworks are. I've just seen a couple of videos.
So I've
Um,
watched a video on all the reworks, and some of them are minor, some of them are drastic. I think obviously the biggest thing in this game changing too is that there is appropriate seasons, like on the screen right there. There's 3 new heroes, 6 new maps, 30 new skins, stuff like that. But one of the biggest things about the heroes too is it's only 5v5 now going forward.
yeah,
It's not
that will be a
6v6.
huge adjustment. Is only one tank. Uh, Tanks do take a little bit less damage, or at least they have a higher health pool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now to compensate for that. But so it definitely will change the team dynamic quite a bit. We won't be able to have a 6 person group anymore. We'll have to settle with 5 until maybe eventually somewhere down the road they might bring
A
out
6v6, yeah,
a
version.
classic mode 6v6 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
In the I'm not sure if will have an arcade section. I'm not sure how
I'm
they have
sure that I'm sure
laid
they'll
out
do like a
their menu.
rotating game mode like they did. I think that worked really
Yeah,
well for them.
I think that was a good time. I definitely enjoyed that, like the occasional elimination and team deathmatch. outside of the classic
Hmm.
Overwatch gameplay. Um, yeah, I am overall happy with these changes. I'm excited to get into them, and I really like the competitive changes as well. But we'll talk once you have those details
Yeah, sure.
there.
So the competitive piece, this is something that me and Eric are loving the idea of because Overwatch competitive at sometimes can feel a huge pain in the ass, just in the way that they use their SR scoring system. One, in terms of how you place in your matches. So obviously, I don't think anyone really truly has the entire algorithm baked out as to how you get scored out properly in Overwatch when
It's a
doing your
mystery.
placement matches. It's like it's like a Da Vinci Code. But essentially, it depends on the characters that you're playing, the I guess difficulty of that character, how you're doing on your team, how you're utilizing that character, how your team's working with you, down to like even communication, which is kind of crazy. So a lot of that's going to change, and they're actually just completely doing away with SR. But the first piece is unlocking competitive. So Overwatch 2, another big change to it, will not have portrait levels to it. Match experience will go towards leveling up your battle pass, and new players who create an Overwatch 2 account on or after October 4th will play through a guided first time user experience, and they will need to complete the first time user experience and win 50 quick play matches before competitive even unlocks for them. So that'll give new players time to prepare for the higher expectations that come with competitive, while veteran players don't feel discouraged, which is a big worry, right? I mean, when you take a game free to play, like you and I had said for a while, we're like, wow, like boy oh boy, we need to pack our patience for the first couple of week or two of matches that we play, because we're going to get, before we heard any information about what they're going to change about competitive, we're going to get stuck with some people who are new to the game, which is fine, but
Yeah.
we didn't really have any idea of how they're going to you know get in there. And again, to be clear, that only affects accounts made on or after the October 4th release date. So if you play Overwatch right now and you've merged, which to merge you go to the main menu in Overwatch and you click merge account right now, you don't have to worry about that at all. Not a big deal.
Yeah,
Just for new players.
you'll automatically get the access to the
Competitive, yeah.
competitive and everything like that. I don't know if I'll jump right into competitive just to learn the new characters how they're working.
Yeah, probably not. I'll
Um,
probably jump into like quick play or something like that, just to learn the characters like you said, and the UI and how everything's working. I mean, even just that passive alone, if you kill somebody, you get a 2.5 times speed boost for 2 seconds. Like that's going to change how I play my characters
yeah, yeah,
through and
certainly,
through.
and I do like the passives. Essentially taking a passive from one of the tanks, like Mercy's passive is now every healer's passive, is from what I've heard. Mercy has a passive where she heals out of combat. No other healer has that, but now they do.
Which is great. So like I had mentioned, SR is being replaced by skill tier divisions in Overwatch 2. They made the decision to remove SR as a numeric value because they felt like felt like they're getting stuck at a certain rank, which I can agree with that. I mean, there's times where I was
Certainly,
getting stuck,
yeah,
or we got unlucky with, to be honest with you, some not so great players, and there's times where we were just not on our ball, and we are like, holy shit, we are not getting out of this tier. um, so they said that seeing your SR go up and down after each match almost felt like taking a test with a teacher passing or failing you based on each individual question rather than your complete work. And it was a lot of pressure, and it doesn't give players an accurate representation of how they're performing overall in competitive, which, to be honest with you, they need to change this regardless, because if they're going to go free to play, they need to make sure that that part is taken care of so that they are not making people feel stressed out. They're not making people go, screw this, I'm just going to leave and
yeah,
not play this game, because now they need to make sure that they've got that their DAU and MAU is as high as possible for active users. And then tiers still exist in competitive. So you'll have bronze through grandmaster like you had before, but each tier will now have divisions ranking from 5, the lowest, to 1 being the highest. And as you progress through each tier, your division will count down until you rank up to the next tier. Top 500 will not have tier divisions. I don't have to worry about ever making it there. I don't know about you, Eric, but I ain't never gonna make it to the top 500
I
either.
I I think I've resolved to the fact that I don't think I'll ever be in the top 500 either. So, but the tier system, very similar to games like StarCraft, League of Legends. They pretty much follow that same suit. 5 tiers of each like
SR
echelon.
range. Yep.
SI range. So that's definitely good to see that they are sort of following suit for the competitive scene in esports. Um, and yeah, I think it will be a better, hopefully easier and better experience to climb up the ladder. Uh, Maybe more so based on your own personal performance, maybe not necessarily on your team as well. Obviously, if you lose, you might lose points in that match,
Yeah,
but
so to that point, you'll receive a competitive update every 7 wins or 20 losses instead of every single game. So you'll see whether you rank up after 7 wins and how much you rank up, or you'll see if you lose after 20 losses, how much you rank down based on those losses, which is
yeah,
kind of an
so
interesting way of doing it.
it's kind of interesting. It's not constant feedback. Some people like constant feedback. I kind of am one of those people that like to know how well I'm doing match to match.
Yeah.
But every 7 games, I'll get an update to say, oh, well, I performed really well in these last 7 games. One nice thing with that though is now with Overwatch is you'll be able to go back and look at how well you did in those games because they'll actually have your match history available to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what like how often they'll be deleting that, but at least you'll be able to go back to your last 10 matches, say, oh, okay, this is kind of why I was bumped up 50 points in these last 7
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
matches because I was doing X amount of damage more than I've been doing and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah.
And I think one of the great things too is without having like not having the portraits, I think that gets rid of like the crappy part of the community where it was some guy who was silver or gold portrait, but he's like bronze competitive.
Yeah, it's like that you have a platinum barrier or you have a platinum portrait, but you're like 900 SR.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah, like what's happening? You just play this a lot, yeah. So
Yeah,
I am kind of happy that they did without that. I think that is very smart, and that's going to keep kind of that crappy part done. And they've got more changes to the competitive UI. So like I said, the borders are going away from all game modes in Overwatch 2, which is great. And competitive skill tiers will also no longer be displayed before each competitive match. So skill tier and division aren't completely aligned with the matchmaking rating they use to determine matches going forward. It just says your display name and your titles.
it's that is interesting. Like you don't. I heard somebody talk about it as you aren't having inherent bias on the loading screen. Going in
Yeah,
like you
correct.
see,
I was about to say, like, there's been times where you and I sit there and we go, "Oh God, they've got
yeah, it's
three
like we're
golds
the
on
only
their team, and we're like
yeah
the only silvers or something, or like our team's all silver and they've got like 3 golds."
yeah
And it's like, good God, or our team's golds, and then they've got fucking just brute people in there.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that is a really good point that you make there. Absolutely. So last piece before we kind of wrap things up, but the placement system from past competitive seasons is also changing as well. So instead of playing 5 matches without a rank, you'll be unranked until your first competitive update, which would be the first 7 wins or 20 losses that you experience. You can expect to start in lower skill tier divisions after placement matches and progress the ranks throughout the season. So all players that were ranked in competitive prior to Overwatch 2 will have their rank modified post-launch. Overwatch 2 is a very different game, so they applied a formula that gives returning players an opportunity to redefine their rank when they dive into updated competitive, but most players will find their rank is slightly lower when they start out, as they'll be learning new concepts and metas, which makes total sense.
Yep.
However, players who got to learn more about the game in our betas or who follow the Overwatch League may find themselves ranked higher than ever, which is kind of stunning. And that's just to balance out gameplay, and that's to make it where here's what it means to be diamond, and then a month from now, here's what it actually means to be, diamond. Once everyone else starts coming in and playing, and people surpass other people, so I think it's brilliant.
For sure. Yep.
I think it's great. I think it's going to be an incredible launch of this game. I think this game is going to go ballistic. I think it is going to breathe new life into it. I think a lot of people are going to jump into this. I think there's a ton of excitement behind this. And I think some people kind of doubt that because they think it's just a small update. I think once you make this free to play, there's a lot of people at my work that game, and they didn't even know what Overwatch was. And I told them that it's coming free to play, and now they're going to try it out.
Yeah, because there's no barrier to entry.
Yeah, there's no barrier to entry.
You just download it and that's it, which is going to be really awesome because you will have full lobbies. You won't have those as long queue times. This should help queue times as long as the servers are functioning properly and matchmaking people. That is one bonus here, and I do hope that it does take off. You and I will probably continue to play it even if it's just as popular as Overwatch 1, just because it is we do enjoy the game. So it's I look forward to it a lot.
Cool.
For sure.
Well, Eric, thanks for coming on the show this week, dude, and filling in for Brody. We really appreciate it. It's great to have you on and have your input on stuff. Guys, if you want to watch the video version of this podcast or you're listening to the audio version, you can jump on over to youtube.com/SpawnCampCo and check it out, as well as some of our other video content that we have. You can also join our Discord. That's free. Not many free things in life anymore except for Overwatch 2. And you can jump over there as well and check out the Discord, chat with people alike in the gaming community, as well as people who love stuff like F1, cooking, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's a community where we can just get together and have a good time and be friendly with each other. You can find us on YouTube and on Twitch, like I said, for the video version. If you're listening for the first time on the audio version of the podcast, thank you so much. Please consider subscribing to the podcast, as well as please consider leaving a review for the podcast. It's what spreads us and has been able to really help us gain traction on the audio side of things for all these years, which has been just fantastic to see us grow on the audio level. And then also from that side, if you want to share this audio podcast with friends, you can do so within your podcast apps. We're available on every podcast platform you can think of: Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, whatever, man. We're out there. We're on all of it. And until next time, guys, we will see you later. Look forward to jumping into Overwatch 2, and I will have my review for that. Maybe not next episode, but the week after, because I'll be up in old Canada for Thanksgiving. Yeah, and any time. So,
yeah.
Cool. All right, Eric. Thanks so much, buddy.